Greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about the art of street protest. Now, for more than a decade, I have been out in the street covering protests, quite literally from sea to shining sea. I have seen shit that will turn you white. Every kind of protest imaginable. Occupation of ports, occupations of roads, highways, hospitals, government buildings, universities, pipelines, city halls, downtowns. It doesn't matter. If there's a piece of space out there where somebody was out protesting, chances are I was standing there with a camera. And so it is that I've gained a certain amount of knowledge and wisdom as it relates to this subject. Now, what all of these protests have in common is that when protesters go out into the street, they do so for two reasons. Number one, to occupy a piece of public space, to draw attention to themselves. And then number two, to use that spot as a megaphone, to air their grievances and to demand some sort of resolution to their issues. And then, of course, these protests are usually ended by people then leaving or the police beating the shit out of everybody and then arresting them. Now, over the decade, I've noticed that pedestrians on the sidewalk and commuters on the road have become less and less tolerable of said protests. In fact, it's gotten to the point where these people have gone to their governments and gotten laws written that make it totally cool to be able to literally run over protesters in the street because, gosh darn it, they're so inconvenient and they do things like blocking ambulances and literally risking public health and the welfare of other people simply by being out in the street for a few minutes or maybe half an hour or so. Which is why I was really surprised to see how the trucker convoy protest was unfolding in Ottawa as it spread to other parts of the country. And if y'all haven't been paying attention to this, well then, methinks it is time for you to buckle up because I am going to tell you a tale of great hypocrisy and ludicrous idiocy, and you're going to enjoy it. How do I know? Because I'm goddamn psychic like that. So buckle up, kids. Here we go. Blockades on the Canada-US border continue as protests swell. Oh, now you done stepped in it. Now see, this protest has been going on for a while and everything was fine, but now apparently all these wild Canadians have attracted the attention of bored Americans, and there's all sorts of international chicanery afoot. Protesters opposed to COVID-19 vaccine mandates and other restrictions withdrew their vehicles from a key U.S.-Canadian border bridge Saturday, though access remained blocked, while other demonstrations ramped up in cities across Canada, including the capital, where police said they were awaiting more officers before ending what they described as an illegal occupation. For the record, the government always finds all occupations to be illegal occupations. Well, except for Israel. Apparently the US and Canadian governments both agree that, that's totally cool, but I digress. The tense standoff at the Ambassador Bridge linking Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, eased somewhat early in the day when Canadian police persuaded demonstrators to move the trucks they had used to barricade the entrance to the busy international crossing. But protesters reconvened nearby with reinforcements and were still choking off access from the Canadian side late on Saturday, snarling traffic and commerce for a sixth day. About 180 people remained late Saturday in the sub-freezing cold. Now, for those of you who missed the origin story of this protest, allow me to rewind for just a moment. About a month ago, all the truck drivers in the country of Canada were informed that they would have to be vaccinated to travel over international borders, i.e. to drive to the United States of America and then back to Canada. And about 90-some-odd% of the nation's truck drivers are already vaccinated. However, the 10% who weren't, they got very angry, and they decided to voice their displeasure by taking their big rigs, driving them into downtown Ottawa, directly outside the nation's capital, and then throwing on their e-brakes and just leaving their trucks there. And they've been there for weeks now. It's turned into like a giant fish concert for unemployed faux libertarians and people who like yelling taxation is theft while getting checks from the government. You know the people, those really staunch conservatives. Yeah, that's right. They're out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're starting fist fights. They're laying on their horns. They're keeping people awake at all hours. They're demanding soup kitchens feed them by, facing down sweet old ladies with a horde of truckers demanding food. Yeah, weird stuff like that. Geez, they even tried to light a building on fire. And of course, the longer the goddamn caravan of kookiness has been in town, well, the more fringe groups come crawling in from the shadows and they start putting up their flags. You can't miss them. They're the people in Canada with the Trump 2024 flags. In Canada. Yeah, of course, they're not nearly as bad as the people who come with the QAnon flags or the Nazi flags. Yeah, that's a thing that's happened too. Now, while this fish concert of depression and desperation has been going on in Ottawa, other people have been coordinating on social media and this week started jamming up major bridges between the US and Canada, effectively halting all overland trade. And of course, because a lot of shit comes in through the port in Vancouver that is earmarked to come into the United States of America, there has been a virtual standstill in specific US and Canadian industries. Of course, the truckers aren't all that concerned about that. They're only concerned about their rights, their privileges, and feeding their families. They're not concerned with the fallout and how it affects anybody else, because fuck those people. Again, these are faux libertarians. Surrounded by dozens of officers in Windsor, a man with mandate freedom and Trump 2024 spray painted on his vehicle left the bridge entrance early in the day as others began dismantling a small tarp-covered encampment. A trucker honked his horn as he too drove off to cheers and chants of freedom. Like Braveheart, only with nobody getting killed or having their villages ransacked by feudal lords. Just, 9% of people in one industry being inconvenienced by either not getting a vaccine or not taking any driving gigs to the United States of America until the mandates are lifted, like next month. But cool, your thing too, my dude. But hundreds more arrived to bolster the crowd and settled into a face-off with police about 2 blocks away, waving flags and yelling. While there were no visible physical confrontations, the crowd still controlled the road to the bridge and the traffic had not resumed as of Saturday evening. Windsor police tweeted that no one had been arrested, but urged people to stay away from the bridge. Quote, "We appreciate the cooperation of demonstrators at this time, and we will continue to focus on resolving the demonstration peacefully. Avoid the area." Wow, Canadians really are ridiculously polite. Like, could you imagine if Black Lives Matter locked down an international bridge for a week? Or sat in a road somewhere for a month outside a fucking state capitol building, let alone, I don't know, Congress or the White House? There would be a mad dash by cops to run in and shoot everybody and conservatives to get in their trucks and run everybody over. And that shit would be over in 12 hours? But in Canada, oh, hey, it's cool. Don't you know, we're really friendly. Plus, gosh darn it, the police, they really like the conservatives. So, hey, just, hang out for a month and have a shitty fish concert. Also, fun story. All of those trucks jamming up all of that trade coming across the bridge? Yeah, well, it's forced a whole bunch of auto manufacturing to go on hold, and plants are furloughing workers. That's right. These nudniks in Canada have cost automotive workers $51 million in wages in the last week in the state of Michigan alone. But golly jeepers, don't you know my rights and freedoms are more important? That's right, thousands of families in the United States of America don't have food. But it's cool, a whole bunch of people in Chevy Tahoes with Trump 2024 flags are somehow jamming up all of international trade with a couple hundred chuckle fucks from the maple syrup mafia. And of course, speaking of chuckle fucks, Republican Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, yeah, he's hooping and hollering and going to every conservative media outlet who will listen to him and saying, hey, it would be really great if we could get a whole bunch of truckers here in the United States of America to jam up entire cities like, I don't know, Los Angeles or Washington, D.C. Also, please note, he didn't ask that anybody jam up Lexington, Kentucky. Oh no, because like all true conservative patriots, he's all about the struggle happening and people being inconvenienced as long as it's not him or his family being inconvenienced. So don't worry, anywhere around the country, if you get stuck behind a truck brigade, just remember, Rand Paul asked those people to be there, and he doesn't give a fuck about you or your family. He just cares about an ideology and fundraising. Oh, and speaking of fundraising, you know what else is fun about these month-long LARPing conservative fish concerts? Oh, they bring about all the finest people from all around the globe. That's right. All the fucking cyber people who come and get the money for the merch off the unofficial event that nobody holds a copyright or a patent to. Yeah, they're crawling out of the woodwork, people, because of course, most of the organizing for this sort of shit takes place on Facebook, where all the boomers feel really good about opening up a 50,000 person private group called Truckers for Freedom or some bullshit like that. And then they start posting articles from Breitbart and the Daily Caller and patting themselves on the back for being the woke one in the group. Hey, you know what I did today? I went onto one of those Facebook groups and I went down one of their threads. You want to see what it's filled with? Come here, I'll show ya. In those threads, you will see tons of solicitations. Like this, from our good friend Alex at Hib, who would like to say, for anybody interested, half if proceed are being donated to supporting the truckers and people who involved Heart, We the Fringe. I've never been so proud to be Canadian. Yeah, and apparently he's really proud because he put this one ad on multiple posts more than 600 times. I know, I found them all. But it would appear that Alex is not alone. Yeah, he's got a friend. MD Jakir. Oh, wait, who's this? Bertho Mona? Here's Sujahuzin. This is Nuru Nur. Ruhula Mini Ratan. Oh, and Shaheen Islam. That's right. Hundreds of posts from dozens of bot accounts that are linked to and administrators to all these pages that solely exist so that they can capture tons of money from unwitting, patriotic, Jesus-loving Americans who think they're donating money to make America better by stopping trade between Canada and the United States of America. And yet, this entire infrastructure solely exists to extract money from people and offer absolutely no support to any of these truckers. So what does all this mean for you, the average viewer at home, the fellow member of the working class? Well, depending on who you are and where you live, it could mean a multitude of things. For example, if you are an auto manufacturing employee somewhere in the state of Michigan, well, for you, it means you're furloughed and you're not getting a paycheck this week and your kids are literally going to go hungry. And when they ask you why they don't have food, tell them that a handful of patriots in Canada decided that your child's hunger was the sacrifice that they were willing to make. You know, while their families were safe and secure in a suburb somewhere with a well-stocked kitchen because they planned for this sort of thing. You, however, well, you know, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. Also, this means that we apparently have seated members of the U.S. government who are actively calling for insurrection. And again, want tons of truck drivers to descend on major metropolitan areas and shut shit down. Of course, not any metropolitan area that they live in or any metropolitan area that they represent. No, that's right. True patriots, they love this shit. They just love it in other people's backyards. Wow, it seems the NIMBY philosophy of conservatism stays constant. Well played, conservatives. Well played, faux conservatives. And of course, well played, shit-eating libertarians. You are the reason why our country continues to be the laughingstock of the world. And of course, last but not least, everywhere across this country, if you've just started to get used to seeing shit pop back up on the shelves in your grocery store and you breathe the sigh of relief, well, better enjoy that shit while it lasts, because guess what? That's right! Now we're going to have even more gaps in the vaunted supply chain that finally got fixed. But don't worry, your inconvenience is a sacrifice that this handful of outliers are willing to make on behalf of their cause. Until next time, my name is James, I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.